Most people think saving money means sacrifice. They imagine saying no to coffee, no to dinner, no to life. But that's not saving. That's self-punishment disguised as discipline. In this video, I'm going to show you a complete system, mathematical and psychological, that makes saving money feel automatic. A system that rich people use without even realizing it. And by the end of this video, you'll understand exactly how to apply it to your life, step by step, and save more money than ever before without feeling poor or restricted. You'll also learn the same technique used by a Japanese entrepreneur who tripled his savings rate in just 8 months by combining numbers and mindset. Let's start with a truth that most people ignore. Money is not emotional, but humans are, and that's why we fail. We use feelings to control something that only obeys math. So, we need a structure, a formula that acts when emotions can't. Think of it as autopilot for your finances. Once it's set, it runs by itself. You don't need willpower. You just need the right inputs. In this episode, I'll teach you the two sides of that system. The mathematical engine, which calculates how to split every dollar you earn to maximize growth. And the psychological framework, which keeps your brain from sabotaging your progress. If you've ever tried to save and failed, this is why. You never lack discipline, you lack design. So grab a notebook, because in a few minutes, you'll not only know how to save, you'll understand how to program your brain and your bank account to work together. This is the unstoppable system, and once you apply it, it won't just change your finances. It will change the way you see money forever. Every successful saver follows one invisible rule. Never trust your emotions with your wallet. That's where the auto-split method comes in, a simple mathematical structure that removes the need for self-control. Here's how it works. Each time you receive income, whether a paycheck or freelance payment, you divide it the instant it arrives into fixed percentages, before your brain even decides what to do. Not later, not tomorrow, immediately. The formula is simple but powerful. 50% essentials, rent, food, transport. 30% growth, investments, education, debt payoff. 20% freedom fund, savings, travel, emergencies. You can tweak these numbers, but the secret isn't the ratio, it's the automation. Set up automatic transfers through your bank, so the moment money enters, it splits itself. That single automation removes 80% of human failure in saving. Why does it work? Because mathematically, it forces consistency and, psychologically, it creates predictability. Your brain loves patterns. When your finances follow a pattern, saving becomes routine instead of resistance. Let's look at a real example. Clara, a 29-year-old marketing analyst from Spain, used to save nothing. She'd swear she'd start next month. Then she applied the auto-split rule with her $2,000 income. She automated $400 into a freedom account. After 6 months, she had $2,400, her first real savings ever, without noticing the difference day to day. By the end of the year, she upgraded her apartment deposit and took her first debt-free vacation. Notice what happened. The math didn't change her life, the automation did. When you remove choice, you remove temptation. In a moment, I'll show you a second layer, a way to multiply the efficiency of this system using time instead of money. It's called the rule of 168, and it's how high performers save faster without earning more. There are 168 hours in a week. That's your real currency. Not dollars, not euros, not pesos, time. Every hour you don't control becomes a leak in your financial system. The rule of 168 is a mathematical mindset that turns your hours into savings automatically. Here's how it works. You calculate how much your time is worth, and then track how much you spend on things that give you zero return. If you waste 10 hours a week scrolling social media, watching random shows, or shopping online, multiply that by your hourly rate. If you earn $15 an hour, that's $150 a week or $600 a month. Energy burned into nothing. Now here's the psychological trick. When your brain sees lost time and money, it activates the same protective instinct as losing cash. This emotional trigger is called loss aversion. Humans hate losing more than they love winning. It's built into your psychology. So, instead of trying to save more, You train your mind to avoid losing time. When you rescue wasted hours and turn them into productive ones, even slightly productive, your money follows. Let's take an example. Daniel, a 34-year-old engineer, applied this rule for 1 month. He realized he was losing about 12 hours a week on impulse shopping and aimless YouTube videos. He replaced half of that time with a freelance project that paid $120 a week and used the rest to cook at home instead of ordering out. In 30 days, he didn't just save. He earned an extra $480 and reduced his expenses by $200. That's a $680 turnaround from reprogramming his week. Remember this, 168 hours is a fixed resource. Everyone has it, rich or poor, but only those who account for it use it to their advantage. In the next section, I'll show you the first psychological system that locks this behavior in place. A mental hack used by entrepreneurs to delay spending without feeling deprived. It's called the delayed dopamine rule, and it's pure brain science. If math builds a structure, psychology keeps it standing. Even the best financial system collapses when emotions take over. That's why the first psychological pillar of this system is the delayed dopamine rule, a simple, science-backed strategy to stop impulse spending without guilt. Here's how your brain works. Each time you buy something new, clothes, gadgets, food delivery, your brain releases dopamine, the chemical of reward. But the rush fades fast, and you need another hit. That's how marketing traps you. It doesn't sell products, it sells dopamine moments. The delayed dopamine rule rewires that. Every time you want to buy something non-essential, you wait 72 hours before purchasing it. That's it, just 3 days. During those 72 hours, your brain's reward signal cools down, your logic returns, and 80% of the time, you realize you don't want it anymore. But here's the twist. Instead of denying yourself, you redirect that same dopamine towards saving. Each time you successfully resist a purchase, move the same amount of money into a reward account. This turns self-control into satisfaction. You're still rewarding yourself, just through a smarter system. Let's see it in action. Maya, a 27-year-old designer, used to buy clothes online every weekend. She introduced the 72-hour rule and logged every almost purchase. After 2 months, she had skipped $940 worth of impulse buys and saved $500 of it intentionally. The other $440? She never even missed it. Psychologically, she trained her brain to associate not spending with winning. That's behavioral reprogramming. The same technique casinos and apps use to hook you. Flip for your benefit. Now imagine combining this rule with automation and math. You're not just saving, you're rewiring your reward system. And once dopamine starts working for you, not against you, financial control stops being hard. In the next part, we'll expose another illusion that keeps people broke even when they earn more, a mental trap called the illusion of affordability. Every person who struggles to save money says one dangerous sentence. It's fine, I can afford it. That single phrase destroys more savings goals than debt or inflation ever could. It's the illusion of affordability, a mental bias that tricks your brain into turning small expenses into invisible habits. Here's how it works. Your brain doesn't measure value in totals. It measures comfort in the moment. When something feels small enough, it passes under your financial radar. $7 coffee? It's fine. $25 lunch delivery? I deserve it. $50 gadget? It's on sale. Individually, they feel harmless. But add them up. That's $600 to $1,000 a month of invisible spending. Over a year, it's the difference between being stressed about bills and having a $10,000 safety net. Psychologically, this illusion happens because of micro-justification. Your brain protects your ego by turning every small decision into a rational one. I worked hard, it's not that much, or it's for my mental health. And while each statement has truth, the pattern is deadly. To break it, you use what I call the visible money filter. For the next 30 days, you log every single transaction, not just in an app, but in a physical notebook. When you write down a purchase, your sensory brain processes it differently. It stops being abstract digits and becomes a conscious act. One of my clients, Luis, did this after realizing he was affording small luxuries daily. Within 21 days, he cut his random spending by 38% without budgeting, just by seeing it. He said, "Writing it down made me realize I wasn't affording things. I was trading freedom for convenience." When you destroy the illusion of affordability, you stop being manipulated by comfort. And that's when your savings finally start to grow. Not because you restrict yourself, but because you see the truth. In the next part, we'll return to math, a precise, repeatable system that balances every cent at the end of the month automatically. It's called the zero balance cycle, and it's one of the most powerful money systems ever created. If the Autosplit method gives structure and the psychological systems give control, the zero balance cycle gives precision. It's the part of the system that makes sure your money never disappears into the fog of "I don't know where it went." Here's the core idea. Every dollar must have a destination before it's spent. Nothing should float, because floating money is emotional money, and emotional money always vanishes. The zero balance cycle forces you to create micro budgets that reset to zero every 30 days. That means you assign every cent of your income to a specific purpose: expenses, savings, investments, fun, until nothing remains unassigned. Mathematically, your equation should always look like this. Income, allocation equals zero. This doesn't mean you're broke at the end of the month. It means you've told your money exactly where to go, and it obeys. Let's break it down with an example. Elena, a 31-year-old architect, earns $3,200 per month. She applied the zero balance cycle using this map. $1,600 for essentials, 50%. $800 for growth and debt, 25%. $400 for investments, 12.5%. $320 for fun and self-care, 10%. $80 for donations or gifts, 2.5%. At the end of each month, her bank account shows zero unclaimed money, not because she spent it all, but because every dollar belongs somewhere. That clarity gave her control, and control gave her confidence. Here's what most people get wrong. They track their expenses after they happen. But tracking is reactive. The zero balance cycle is proactive. You don't record where your money went. You tell it where to go before it moves. This simple inversion changes everything. When you live by design, not by default, your financial anxiety disappears. You don't hope to save. You simply follow the cycle. And once you combine this system with automation and psychological awareness, your brain stops fighting your goals. It joins them. In the next part, we'll bridge math and mind again, exploring how to use cognitive biases to your advantage, turning psychology into your personal financial weapon. Your brain is powerful, but not logical. Every decision you make about money is filtered through invisible rules called cognitive biases, shortcuts your brain uses to save energy. Unfortunately, most of them make you lose money. The key is not to fight these biases, but to reverse them. The bias reversal method takes the 3 strongest psychological traps that cause overspending and flips them to your advantage. 1. The reward now bias becomes reward later multiplied. Normally, your brain values small rewards today over bigger rewards tomorrow. That's why saving feels boring. To reverse it, visualize your later reward as a vivid, emotional image. The apartment you'll own, the trip you'll take, the freedom of saying no to a bad job. Every time you save, your brain gets a mini version of that future dopamine rush. You're teaching it that waiting feels better than spending. 2. The social proof bias becomes wealth proof. We copy what we see others do, especially spending. To flip it, surround yourself digitally with people who post growth, not consumption. Investors, creators, entrepreneurs. If your feed is full of noise, you'll buy noise. If your feed shows builders, your brain will crave building. 3. The sunk cost bias becomes progress momentum. We keep spending to justify past spending. You buy more gear to justify your unused gym membership. To reverse it, use a visible progress tracker, an app, a notebook, or even a calendar. When you see progress, your brain defends it. You'll keep saving because it refuses to lose the streak. Let's see it applied. Raphael, a 36-year-old software developer, started tracking his bias flips. He turned daily coffee purchases into a freedom fund, followed investors online instead of influencers, and tracked each milestone. In 6 months, he doubled his savings rate, not by earning more, but by hacking the same brain that once sabotaged him. The bias reversal method isn't about logic. It's about self-engineering. When your psychology becomes your ally, money management stops feeling like effort and starts feeling like instinct. Next, we'll move into something more subtle: how to create invisible savings systems that protect you automatically without even thinking about it. Imagine if saving money felt as natural as breathing, something that happens automatically without willpower, guilt, or spreadsheets. That's the goal of the invisible savings method. The idea is simple. Remove yourself from the decision-making process entirely. You build a system so seamless that saving money doesn't feel like an action, it feels like default behavior. Let's start with the foundation. You already know about automation, transferring money to savings the moment income arrives. But the invisible layer goes deeper. It uses psychological triggers to make your brain believe that money doesn't exist until it's meant to be spent. Here's how it works, step by step. Keycap 1: Create ghost accounts. Open a separate bank account in a different institution, not connected to your main banking app. This becomes your invisible vault. You automate transfers from your main account immediately after each income deposit. Keycap 2: Remove visibility. Delete the secondary app from your phone. Stop checking balances. Your brain only processes what it can see. Invisible money becomes untouchable money. Keycap 3: Add automation layers. Set your bills, investments, and savings to pay themselves. Every transaction that doesn't require your emotional input strengthens the system. This technique uses the ostrich effect, a real behavioral principle where people ignore negative information to protect comfort. We flip it. Instead of ignoring debt or spending, you ignore your savings, letting them grow quietly in the background. Let's look at an example. Naomi, a 30-year-old nurse, used to transfer savings manually. She'd often skip a month just this time. After creating a ghost account and automating transfers, she forgot about it literally. A year later, she logged in to find $4,820 sitting untouched. Her reaction? I never even noticed it leaving. That's the power of invisibility. When you stop negotiating with yourself, you stop losing. Automation handles the math. Psychology handles the rest. Next, we'll explore how real people have implemented all these systems: the math, the psychology, and the mindset to transform their finances completely. By now, you've learned the equations, the psychology, and the structure. But let's make it real, because theory only matters when it changes lives. Let's start with Hiroshi, a 41-year-old entrepreneur from Osaka. He struggled for years to maintain consistent savings because his business income fluctuated every month. He decided to merge the Autosplit method with the zero balance cycle. Instead of saving a fixed amount, he used percentages that auto-adjusted to each month's income. Even when he earned less, his system balanced automatically. After 10 months, he had built an emergency fund worth 3 months of expenses, without stress, without budgeting apps, and without guilt. His words, the math did the work. My brain didn't have to. Then there's Maria, a single mother of 2 in Mexico City. She applied the delayed dopamine rule and the invisible savings method together. Every time she resisted an impulse buy, she sent that same amount to her ghost account. After 6 months, her savings reached $1,900, money that used to vanish in small purchases. She used part of it to pay off high-interest debt and started investing the rest. Her message: for the first time, I feel like I'm winning against my own brain. And then David, a 25-year-old software student in Germany. He used the bias reversal method to hack his psychology. Instead of following influencers who promoted expensive lifestyles, he filled his feed with creators who documented financial growth. He built what he called his wealth environment. Over the course of a year, his income didn't change, but his net worth grew 62%. He told me, "I didn't get smarter. I just stopped living in the wrong algorithm." These aren't isolated cases. They're patterns. When people apply structure, math, protection, psychology, and automation, behavioral design, results become predictable. That's why I call it the unstoppable system, because once it starts, it rarely stops. And the best part? You don't need to be rich to start. You just need to start acting like the future rich version of yourself. In the final part, I'll show you how to integrate everything we've covered, math, emotion, automation, into one clear routine that works forever. You've now seen the full picture, the math, the psychology, and the design that makes saving unstoppable. But before we close, let's tie everything together so you can make it work for you starting today. Here's the full system in one simple loop. Keycap 1, the Autosplit method. Automate your income into fixed categories. Your brain never decides where money goes. Math does. Keycap 2, the rule of 168. Protect your hours like your dollars. Every wasted hour costs more than you think. Keycap 3, the zero balance cycle. Give every dollar a purpose every month. Nothing left over. Nothing floating. Everything assigned. Keycap 4, the delayed dopamine rule. Replace impulse with anticipation. Wait 72 hours before buying and save the reward. Keycap 5, the illusion of affordability. Write every transaction down. Awareness kills waste faster than discipline ever will. Keycap 6, the bias reversal method. Flip your brain's biases into allies. Turn the psychology of loss, status, and momentum into fuel for growth. Keycap 7, the invisible savings method. Automate invisibility. If you can't see it, you can't spend it. That's it. 7 pillars forming a loop that runs on autopilot. Once set, it doesn't demand effort. It creates momentum. And that's what every millionaire's system has in common. It's not built on motivation. It's built on automation. Now, think back to the promise from the start. You want a way to save more money without feeling poor. By now, you've learned how to design your financial autopilot, one that protects you from emotion, decision fatigue, and lifestyle pressure. And you've seen real people prove that it works. If you apply even 2 of these rules, you'll feel the difference within weeks. Apply all 7, and you'll never think about money the same way again. But this is just the first step, because once your savings system is running, the next stage begins, making your money work for you. In the next video, how to build passive income systems that run automatically. I'll show you how people use the exact same automation principles, but for earning instead of saving. You've built the foundation. Now it's time to build freedom, because wealth isn't about money, it's about control. And after this video, you finally have both.